there are certain things. There are a few products in your life you shouldn't reuse, and you can use your imagination. They can be rinsed and reused, but you shouldn't do that.
What's up, trade crew? Welcome back to another episode of HVAC R&D, powered by Keystone Sales and Associates, your premier Mid-Atlantic manufacturers rep. We got a guest on tonight. I'm kind of excited about this. We've been talking. We should have been recording for the last 30 minutes, but we got into some good stuff, and may or may not have a guest drinking with us tonight, so we're stoked about that. So without further ado, let's get it going.
Yeah, come on. So welcome back, trade crew. Thanks for joining us on another episode of HVAC R&D. As usual, I'll give you the early rundown. So this episode is brought to you also by RectorSeal. And if you're following us or you're active on social media, please follow us at Instagram at hvac.rnd, also at TikTok at hvac.rnd. I've updated that one so they're mirrored again the way they used to be. You can also find us on LinkedIn at HVAC-R&D and also on Facebook and TradeHounds. And a big thank you to all of our vendor hub partners, BetterHelp, Chirp, Service Titan, and also One Thing Marketing. Stay tuned to Brittany's show with us next week, talking about some AHR reveal stuff. And then also, for any other information, feel free to check the link tree in our bios of social media, and you can get all the rest of our info.
So have you, on this vendor hub, have you explained that yet or no?
No, we're going to dig into that with Brittany next week. I'm just kind of starting to get people pumped up and ready for it.
Just a teaser.
So yeah, it's coming. But now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Our guest this evening, from out on the West Coast, representing RectorSeal, please welcome Mr. Donnie King to the show.
In the middle of nowhere, they've never drove through Indiana. Met the man who plowed that earth, planted that seed, busted his ass for you and me. You're caught a harvest moon in Kansas, and they'd understand why God made those flyover states. I bet that mile long Santa Fe.
How are you guys doing?
What's up,
Good,
man?
sir.
Yeah, it's going good.
Nice walkout song there.
Yeah, well, appreciate it. Yeah, so West Coast, more right in the center. I'm currently grounded in Chicago, so stuck in Shyland.
You hadn't been flying
local
anywhere.
West Coast.
Yeah, so yeah.
I was gonna say, have you flown anywhere in the last? Was it today the huge issue with the airplane?
Yeah, so no, we drove to Florida over Christmas or right New Year's. We missed the whole Southwest. We didn't fly Southwest, and we're going to fly Southwest, but we missed that and did not have any trips planned. This week. Thank God this wasn't happening. At AHR time.
Yeah, I mean, what happened today? Like, does anybody know?
Figure that out since I saw the news this morning.
It was like a reboot.
Well, I heard it was a software glitch in the air traffic control, something or other. Who knows? But it grounded everything, and there's a reason why I drive most places.
Right. I've seen a lot of tweets come out that said just unplug it and plug it back in.
Exactly. Yeah.
So fly over states. That's it. That's you.
Yes. Yeah. So I've been in the central part of the country my whole entire life, and been up here in Chicago now for 5 years. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful section of the world for like 6 weeks out of the year.
So. Short golf season. Super short golf season.
Yeah, it's actually better than that. I joke with the locals here about, I know why they're all angry now, because they live here.
Because they live here.
Man, I'm telling you, down here in the South, I just don't want to dig my car out to go to work, man. I don't understand what's cool about that.
Yeah. It's a badge of honor.
That 3 inches of snow down here to dig our cars out.
No, if I got to dig the car out, it's a snow day, man. It's not happening. You can't even reach me via email
down here.
Office is closed.
Yeah. You guys probably don't get snow. You get ice, and that's which is worse. Ice. You cannot drive on ice. You can drive on snow, but you cannot drive on ice.
Yep.
All right. So before we get too deep into this, we're gonna have to crack a couple beers, a bottle maybe. I'm not sure. Did you bring anything to the show for us?
You're talking to me, right? Yeah.
I'm talking to you.
Guest go first.
Guest go first.
Guest go first.
So I'm drinking a raspberry White Claw.
Nice.
No,
finally.
I'm just kidding. I'm not drinking a raspberry White Claw.
Hey man, we're just pumped.
I'm the only
drinking with us.
I am drinking. Drinking. So I'm gonna crack open my go-to bottle. It's Old Granddad 114. It's bourbon. Okay. Yep. It's 114 proof. So this show's only like 20 minutes, right?
Right. That's a.
So, and I will put a few what my buddy calls road bumps in there. Some ice cubes, slow me down.
Yep.
Road bumps.
There you go. So there you go. I don't know if you can hear that, but it doesn't have the sound effect as a cracked bottle, cracking open a can of beer.
No.
But that's what I'm having.
Good deal. All right, Rhydon.
Well.
There it is.
There you go.
Cheers to the hitchhikers, boys.
Old Modelo.
There you go.
I got you a present in the mail today, Rhydon.
Oh, did the bucket show up?
Yep. So I ordered a. I'm actually looking at all this RectorSeal stuff in next to my desk here that we have to give away at AHR, but I had to order. I wanted to do a raffle, so I ordered a Modelo beer bucket, and I got some orange tickets to put in there.
Some good HVAC R&D orange. It.
Yep. So
nice.
Yep. I just opened that today. So all right. Well, I've got I did find a Bud Light seltzer. I know. But I do have a drink here that I'm going to open. My son opened this the other day, and it made the craziest sound. I said, I've got to open one of those on the podcast. It's a Nitro Pepsi.
Mm.
Oh, those things do sound funny.
Yeah.
This is a creamy. What is this? It's one of the vanilla. I guess it's like a draft cola. Let me open this thing up. See what we got.
Nice.
I mean, what is going on there? First of all,
I can't wait till you put reverb on that. It's going to be very interesting.
And it says, "Chill the can, pour hard, and enjoy." What does pour hard mean? I don't know, but I can't drink this tonight. It's 9:30 at night. I can't drink.
Is that when, like, if you're pouring it hard, you pour and you like slam down with your hand, like?
It's
Like just make it, force it down there.
the picture is just you just turn it over.
Turn it over. Just pour it in there. Don't worry about too
Yeah.
much head on the top or what. Just pour it in.
Yeah, don't worry about going down the side of the glass. Just dump it.
So I had a beer rep one time tell me, I was actually sitting at a bar next to a beer rep. And he said, always just turn it over and pour it in. If you try to save it from creating any of the head, all that goes in your stomach. If that
Right,
makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, more bubbles in your stomach, yeah.
Right. Just pour it, let it. I'm like, all right. Still can't do that though. Still got to turn the glass sideways, and I don't know why, but all right. Well, let's.
He just wants us to drink more beer. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I made
true.
it make more foam, so there's like 2 less ounces I got to drink. So that means at least 1 more beer per round equals
these
how many
reps.
more cases per year.
So look, it's nitrogen infused. That's what makes the extra bubbles there. So
That's right.
But it doesn't have any alcohol in it, does it?
No, it doesn't. So I'm opened it, and now I'm pushing it to the side.
I was going to say, what are you
flat.
cutting with it? Thought maybe you might put something in it.
I should have went and got some bourbon, but I can't drink this tonight. I'll be laying in the bed. My mind will be racing. I got to go to the gym in the morning. I can't drink this tonight.
Are they going to be open this time?
I just wanted to record it. Yeah, hopefully they'll be. Well, I found out they're not open at 5 on Saturday, so I was up there a little bit early Saturday. All right, well, let's get into. Donnie said he's got an infomercial for us. So
Sweet. We don't have to do anything. I want to sit back, put my feet up, and just listen.
Right.
I'm trying to remember what we talked about before we started recording, but we were kind of talking about your career path and kind of explain the spider web. That was a good analogy.
Oh, okay. So I'll get to that. So I got into this industry by accident. I think maybe is the best way to get there. So I went to college, had aspirations from my parents and most of the family to be a doctor. So went into pre-med, decided that I didn't want to spend the next 8 to 10 years of my life in classrooms in college. So finished college and started looking for just any job, starving college student looking for a job.
Now, did you just do 4 years?
I did 4 years. Yep.
Okay.
Biology major with a minor in chemistry. It's really, really,
cool.
useful in my career. And my parents are so proud.
Yep.
So, and this is where it turns. So my counselors and everybody was like, you need to go into medical research. That if you don't want to be a doctor, don't go to medical research. And I found out that medical research interns in first years, they make about what you can make at Burger King or McDonald's. And so I decided I didn't want to do that. And my uncle, so here's where it turns into HVAC. So I have an uncle in Amarillo, which is where I was, or Amarella, if you're from there. Who owned an HVAC company. And he's like, hey, if you're looking for help in the summer, I could use your help. So I had worked with him while I was in high school, off and on. And so I'm like, sure, I'll come work for you. So I worked for him the whole entire summer of '89. And then winter came around. He's like, hey, you need to find a job. Because we're
Yep.
So happenstance is one of the local distributors, the warehouse manager, quit. So he's like, you should go do that. So I got to call my parents and saying, hey, I found a full-time position as a warehouse manager for an HVAC company with a 4-year bachelor's of science degree. It was really, that was a good conversation.
Sounds like somebody I know. A couple people.
Yep.
But what's the old saying, when one door closes, another one opens. And this one opened up just a world of opportunities. The counter guy lasted about 3 months and he quit. So they moved me up to the counter. Then I was at the counter for about 3 months. A territory manager quit. So they moved me into territory manager's position. And I was a territory manager, moved to Odessa, Texas, or Slow Death, Texas, if you've ever been there. It is. I love Texas. I've born and raised there, but you got to want to live in Odessa. It is just not a pretty place. but was great career choice. You know, made a ton of money, got really involved in the industry. My parents at the time and the rest of my family moved to Tulsa. So at some point in time, 8-9 years into that, I moved to Tulsa, went to work for another distributor, worked there for about 8 or 9 years, worked for a ductless manufacturer, one of the leading ductless manufacturers, and really fell in love with that industry. I love the ductless side of the business.
Yep.
And, you know, one divorce later and a new girlfriend and remarried up here and then moved to Chicago. So that's how I ended up in Chicago.
What kind of systems out there in Slodessa?
Oh, it's
what?
The story so the average temper in the summertime is like 110. It's and you're
Right.
like at 5% humidity. It's dry. You can use an evaporative cooler, swamp cooler is what they call them.
Right. Wow.
But it is the blowers, right? So furnaces, gas furnaces.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody had a gas furnace in your house. Every house there is built with a 80%, 120,000 BTU gas furnace, which is probably 3 times the amount of heat that the house needed.
Right.
It's only there for the blower. That's the only reason you have a gas furnace there, because you got to have a blower. Once a year, you turn the furnace on, blow off the dust off the heat exchanger, and then turn it back off.
Nice. I feel like there's got to be another system just for that part of the country.
So they do. There's a couple of things where they do some combo package units where one half is an evaporative cooler and one half is a centralized, refrigerated system. They use them in Odessa, that part of the Texas area, all the way across New Mexico, Arizona.
Okay.
A lot of rooftops are, what you guys would call just small package units out in Carolinas. You put them on the ground, right, and run the
Right.
Yep. Well, out in the West, they put them on the roof.
Right, and those end up on our HVAC hacks.
Yes, there's a lot of HVAC hacks. Yeah, if you want to see some funny stories, watch HVAC hacks.
Well, I know, but I'm saying that's normal there. But over here, I'm like, God, did they put that on the roof? Like what?
Oh,
you know what I mean? I drive by and see that in Charlotte. I'm stopping and taking pictures of that.
yeah.
I
One
it
of
just
the
looks
most
weird up
popular,
there.
Probably one of the most popular units I sold while I was out in West Texas was a roof, package unit where they would go in and they would take the evaporative cooler off, and you would have this big hole in the roof.
Jeez.
And the roofer would come in and flash a curb at the angle of whatever the pitch was, and then they would set the rooftop down there, and then you'd get in the attic and you would run your trunk lines from there. So you didn't have
it just seems like a lot of work for
Now here's a question.
what it is.
Yeah. It's
With as many units as you guys were putting on roofs out there, package units, did anybody go out and just like buy their own boom trucks to be able to do that to try to save money? Or like, is that a standard operating procedure for companies in that part of the country? Or does everybody still just rent a crane?
So crane. Who needs a crane when you've got 12 employees?
That's true. Block and tackle and some ingenuity. Let's go.
Exactly. I mean, you got Bobby's truck. You just throw a rope on the other end of the house and we drag it up.
I hope there's
Wow.
a tree over the house. We'll just use that big old limb over there.
The larger, I would say, the more reputable companies would have a small boom or small lift. Almost even just a bucket truck is all you really
Right.
need. You don't need to lift it. You're not lifting thousands of pounds. But yeah, and the really smart ones would have a roofing company tied to their company as well, so you could do the flashing and whatnot. Otherwise, you had to sub out the roof contract.
So why aren't we? So explain to me, why aren't we putting them outside on the ground? Is that
Because there's already a hole in the roof.
okay?
Because there's already a
So whoever started that.
Correct. So what happens?
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm just trying to catch
I
up
was
here.
sitting here
I'm like,
thinking
what?
maybe it was a critter deterrent,
no. So
keeping the rattler snakes out.
Yeah, armadillos.
Yeah. So one of my favorite sayings is, so what happened was,
Right. Okay.
There was no air conditioning. There was no air conditioning back in the day, say like in the 60s and 70s, and all these houses had evaporative cooler, swamp coolers on top. And then some company or some manufacturer developed a package unit that would fit right up there, and for a small fee, you could upgrade your house and have refrigerated air. And That was the bulk of the business. It wasn't new construction. They're not building 10,000 new
Right.
homes out in Hobbs, New
Right.
Mexico, or that sort of place. But you are changing literally thousands of evaporative coolers and putting rooftops on top. So
Now, was there like a bracket type or a mount that
so they would
somebody
flash
made?
in the curb, and then inside the curb or somewhere on the curb there would be an angle iron bracket that would support the weight.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
I've seen them in pictures. I've seen them on Instagram and a lot.
Sure.
I'm like, God, why is that up there? Jeez, it just looks.
Yeah, if you go outside the Southwest and you try to do that kind of stuff, people will look at you cross-eyed. They're like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah. I tell
Now-
somebody in Ballantyne over here, I'm going to just put that packaging on their roof. They're going to be like, nah, we're going to.
Well, and the other reason why it's on the roof is there's no crawl space, so most of the houses are slab.
Okay. Well, there we go.
So and there's no
There we go. That
room.
answered my question I was about to ask.
Yeah, and there's no room inside, so there's no closet. So if you wanted to get rid of the thing on the roof, then you covered the roof and you put everything in the attic, which is the way I probably bulk of the business in the South is done now in new construction. They put everything in the attic.
Right.
Yep. So I'm guessing it's still more cost effective to just put the unit over the giant hole in your roof than to actually fix your roof and put a central system in.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep. And a say a 3-ton or 2.5-ton gas pack. By the time you add in a furnace, conditioning unit, coil, run the line set, do the pad, do all that,
Fix the hole in the roof.
it's
Yep.
it's a
Skylight. What about that?
right.
Is that
And then
an
if and you don't want to be the only house on the block that doesn't have a package unit on its roof. I mean, you are not.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to be that neighbor.
No, you don't. I mean, that's like having the only house on the block that doesn't have a car on a set of blocks yet. You don't want to be that. You don't want to be that guy.
Dude, where's my car?
All right.
yeah,
So
that's a
yeah.
short story on how I got into it, and been doing this for right at 30 years, give or take. And I've traveled the whole entire country. One of my positions, I was a national salesman, so I had every part of the country and Canada. I've been all over the United States selling, and I can tell you, everybody thinks their market is different. Everybody thinks their contractors are different. Everyone thinks that they're the lowest price, and you're never going to be able to sell this or that. And it's just not true. Every market is almost dead even. They're all alike. The product may change, but the people are basically the same.
Yep.
they react the same. They
Oh,
think
for
the
sure.
same. Yeah. I agree with that. We definitely run into that a lot on this show. When I moved from Atlanta to Charlotte, I'm like, holy cow, HVAC is so different here. But it's really just application,
Correct.
just like you said, like you got units on the roof there. Here all the ductwork is insulated on the inside in residential, and in Georgia it's all on the outside. So it just changes a little bit here and there, but
Yep. Well, it's
the
like in
mindset
Chicago.
is all the same. I
Yep.
mean,
In Chicago, everything's in a basement. So every house around in this little area that I'm in is you're in a basement. So the ductwork is all exposed in the basement, and it's all run up through chases in the wall, and it's there's a lot of twists and turns. But at the end of the day, it's still just a gas furnace hooked to a air conditioner or heat pump outside.
now you said you're big on ductless, right? So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so in the position, well, when I was in Odessa, we did some renovation in a warehouse, and we cooled my new office with one of the original ductless units, I think, that came to the U.S. If you've ever seen a '78 Chevrolet station wagon with the wood grain siding on the side,
Yeah, the old front wheel drive sleigh.
yeah, that's what this ductless unit looked like. It was wood grain colored, dark brown.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it was sweet.
Looked like you just drove it through the wall.
chrome knobs.
It ran like a champ and cooled like a. I mean, it was. And
Well,
so
it's
I
probably
found it.
Mark 12 or
No, it's a brand everybody would recognize. And so when I moved to Tulsa, the position I took there was outside parts and supplies and accessories. And one of the products that they threw in with the parts and supplies, because ductless wasn't a huge part of the business, was ductless. And so my background with ductless helped me get that position. And parlayed that into, working from the distributor to working for that manufacturer. And then, here we go from there. So I've followed the ductless, progress from probably 93 until now.
Oh, okay. Big changes.
Yeah. No, I mean, it has, and it's moving forward even still. And I think I think you talk a lot about it, Dennis, about the inverter technology. 10 years ago when I was teaching inverter technology, everybody's like, that's never going to come. I'm like, it's coming. Trust me.
No, I still get that.
It's coming.
It's coming.
I get that in class.
I mean,
Well, when I'm up there, training on inverter technology, and it's just a split duct system, they're like, so that operates like those mini splits,
Yep.
It's still, I don't know. It's still, we're still behind on our game.
Well, it's still like, it's still that massive 6 degrees of separation. They separate it with such a broad spectrum, but it's really the way things are going. It's not as much different as they want to try to make it. It's still a refrigeration system. It's still an inverter system. Maybe the components inside and outside are set up slightly different, but it's still a refrigeration system doing what it's supposed to do. And I know, where I grew up in the mountains, and we had either a crawl space no one could fit into but the raccoons, or, you didn't have a crawl space or an attic or anything. So it was either mini splits or we put in dual fuel, either one. But my dad embraced mini splits from the 90s on. He's always been a mini split guy. He's still one of my biggest mini split customers to this day, just because that's something he believes in. Dennis knows it too. So, I mean, it's been something that it's amazed me that it still hasn't taken off as much in a market like Charlotte and some of these other ones that I feel like it should have.
I boil it down to it's just change. And speaking of crawl spaces, when we get to Crawlspace Confessions later on in the show, I got a funny story.
Oh, this guy's prepared.
Yes.
But it's all about change. I mean, like,
right.
10 years ago when I was doing sales training, because that was my job, is to try to convince people to sell ductless. There was you had to overcome, well, nobody wants that thing on the wall, right? Or, no one can afford this per ton, because they try to break it down cost per ton. And whatever objection they could come up with, it is about change. It's not about they don't trust it or any of that. It's just they don't understand or want to embrace change. And I've lived through, I got into the business right as we were getting away from 8 SEER. So 10 SEER was like the new minimum standard when I got in.
Breath of fresh air.
And 12 SEER was like super high efficiency, and 14 SEER, you had to be a millionaire to afford a 14 SEER. And now we're that was R22.
Now we just eliminated original 14 SEER.
Correct. Now it went from R22 to 410, and nobody wanted to move to 410. And
now you just got to be a millionaire to get 15 SEER.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole game.
Depending on where you're at, you may not be able to get 15 after.
Right.
That may be outlawed.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I think guys want. They want. You got an owner of a company that's in a market that he sells a lot of 14 SEER changeouts. Last year he did, and he's got guys that know how to put it in. It's got a contactor. It's got a couple parts. They can trace where stuff goes and how it comes on. And he's moving and shaking. He's making money. And then all of a sudden, you start throwing in 2-stage, and his mid to high SEER stuff. Well, first of all, the homeowners are asking him, no, I want this. Do you have this? And he's like, well, I can get you that, but you really need it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That guy is where we still have a ton of those out there.
No doubt. Again, I'll go back to when I was training on mini splits. We did a survey of contractors, and to find out why they were selling them. For the guys who are selling them, why are you selling mini splits? And it came back that they were only selling them for 3 reasons. And the number one reason was the homeowner specifically asked for a mini split.
Yep.
Right. Commercial,
It was
call
like,
something. Yeah.
It was like my neighbor had one, or I was over in whatever island, and I want this in my bedroom, because back then it was bedrooms, offices, but it was spot cooling basically.
Well, that's still here.
It's still
where we're
is
at.
in a lot of places. Yeah.
Correct. The number two reason was they tried everything they could, and they just couldn't get ductwork in the spot that they needed to go, and so we called that the kicking and screaming sales pitch. I don't want to do this, but this is exactly what I have to do.
Right.
So yeah, and then the third one was, hey, this might be a better option, but yeah, the homeowner asking for it and kicking and screaming were the two leading candidates of why they sold ductless. Even the guy that sold a bunch of it, that's why he sold it.
Well, okay, so let's get into some products that you're on the mini split side that you're pretty proud about.
I was going to say, jumping in real quick too, that's also part of what our booth visit at AHR is about, is looking at how RectorSeal is kind of a real good place for the mini split contractor as far as different products that are available for use, from the handy dandy mighty bracket to everything else.
Sure. So, when I got the call, I was looking for a job to try to get myself up into Chicago. And so I got a call from a buddy who was like, hey, there's a company looking for a regional sales manager in the upper Midwest. And so I'm like, okay. I'm like, who is it? And they're like, RectorSeal. And I'm like, RectorSeal? What? And so I don't know about you guys, but
dang near killed her. Sorry.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So as we like to joke internally, it's the most abused corporate name in the industry. But when I thought about RectorSeal, more than, let's say, 6 years ago, I thought of like 3 products, and they all came in a can, and they all and they all got either put on gas pipe or PVC. And that's kind of what I knew about RectorSeal. I sold a little bit of some of their products, but RectorSeal to me was a pipe thread sealant solvent cement company, and that is their bread and butter. That is the lineage of RectorSeal. But over the last 10 years, the company has pivoted to go hard into the HVAC segment of the business, and probably over the last, at least 5 years, maybe 6 years, has really focused in and invested strongly in what we see as the future of HVAC in the ductless side of the business. So Mighty Bracket is a product that we have. It is for a lot of people, it's an installation tool. So we like to say it turns a 2-man installation into a 1-man installation. Right. But I like to remind service guys the service guy never has a partner, right? The old adage when I was joking is installers travel in packs and service guys travel alone. So if you need,
there's nothing worse than working on a mini split by yourself.
Correct. And if you have to take that thing off your wall, then you need a Mighty Bracket. That thing will save your hind from all kinds of trouble, because nothing worse than dropping it and having to buy a new one.
Right.
So we've got that product. I know that is probably one of our first initial launches into the mini split line.
I was going to say, when did that launch? Was that?
So it's a product that they buy. So one of the things about RectorSeal is some of the products are birthed in-house, where we take it from conception all the way to production. And then other times there's a guy out in the street that had a great idea that kind of built it in his garage, and he's selling it to local contractors, and RectorSeal helps him, they partner or they acquire him, and they take that product nationwide. So,
that's cool.
There are some really good products regionally that just don't have the means or the bandwidth to go full scale, because it's all about scalability. At the end of the day,
a lot of that stuff too.
Yeah, at the end of the day, a guy in Charlotte could make a great curb, right? If he can't scale it to get it into, Los Angeles or Seattle, he's a regional player at that point. And so what RectorSeal enables some of these what inventors or these engineer types is to take their product and scale it so that it now can go nationwide. Mighty Bracket's one of those products. our safety switches, which I'll talk about in a minute, or it's a couple of those products. But yeah, we like to buy products that are useful and make the job easier. Our task is to make the installers and the service guys' job as easy as possible. So flare tight, if you talk to any service guys or any installers and you ask them what's the number one problem with mini splits, they'll say it's the leaky flares.
Yep.
And flare tight is one of those products that solves that problem.
Now, in the last couple years, I've noticed everybody's on the train to make a good flare, whether it be this tool, that tool. It's a big push because that is I mean, that's the only issue I ever had with a mini split, honestly.
That or guys don't own a torque wrench, one, two.
Well, or yes, what you mean? Yeah. What we used to call it, Gorilla Tight. Gorilla Tight's good, right?
Yeah. I mean,
the
copper was turning, the whole pipe was turning. It's got to be tight.
Correct. Tighter is better. The old adage is, I when I got into it, before we got into where they would list specific torque wrenches, it was hand tight, quarter turn. That was like the rule of thumb.
Right.
Maybe you're close on the torque, maybe you're not. But then we get into torque ratings where you should have a torque wrench, and you've got the old school, and I blame it on the old school. The beer can cold crowd, where they just want to crank it down. And I've seen guys, like you say, twist the copper line, like the line's got a twist in it, and they're like, this thing is still leaking. Like, yeah.
Well, no, it actually just got worse.
It just got worse now.
Yeah, you have busted the flare is what you've done. You don't understand split. Metal on metal. So what the flare tight does is it creates it's a gasket basically between the copper and the typically it's brass fitting on the male side, and it creates a gasket, and it fills in any irregularities or any micro fissures that may be in the flare. So
now, are those reusable, or is that
no? Just like everything.
Okay. I'm saying you break something loose, you can't keep that one on there, right? No.
There are certain things. There are a few products in your life you shouldn't reuse, and you can use your imagination. They can be rinsed and reused, but you shouldn't do that. And
no, yeah. So all right, I got it.
Yeah. So no, once you tighten it down, you've basically flattened the ridges and flattened the curvatures out of it. For the $4 or $5 that this thing is going to cost, you should probably just get another one.
Okay.
It's not worth a trip. It's not worth a trip to the doctor to find out there's a baby involved.
Hey, look, I was in tech support. Somebody's going to ask that question, so I went ahead and threw it out there.
True too.
Exactly. Yeah. Nothing like to tech support where they say, "Can I do this?"
Yeah.
And your answer is, "Can you or should you?" Because those
man,
are two
I have
different
that
answers.
a lot. Yeah. Yep. Or let me just get your opinion on this. I'm like, I'm hanging up.
Exactly. My opinion is we're done talking.
Yep.
Yeah. So one of the flare tight. Then we also launched a set of tools called ProFit. So, and in that is we've got a bit that will actually create a flare using heat. So one of the things that we've learned through flaring is when you take a piece of copper and you flare it, it's cold, so or room temperature, and when you flare it, there are micro fissures in there. So there's small little cracks under a microscope that the gas will try to find their way out of. But if you do it under heat, like they do at the factory when they pre-flare the copper line sets, and you use it with a drill bit, this one you just stick it in, let it heat up, and it just slides in 10 or 15 seconds. You can have a nice little smooth, almost annealed. It doesn't quite get to the annealing point, but it is a nice smooth flare. I will warn everyone, if you do that, wear a pair of gloves on the hand that is holding the copper, because that copper is going to get hot.
Yep, I've used that a few times. I do like those.
Yeah, and we've got that in the flare, and then we also have in a swedge so that you can eliminate one fitting to solder on. And then of course the creme de la creme is let's just do away with flares, because everybody hates those things, and let's just do a push fit fitting, and just do a smooth cut, clean the copper, push it in all the way, and push it in and walk away. And then on the indoor and outdoor side, we have a fitting that basically bolts right onto the male version of the flare, so the male body.
So I've had some contractors that big mini split guys, putting them in 2 to 3 systems a week, if not every day of the week.
Right.
And their thing is now, well, yeah, they're unboxing. They sold the job. Mm-hmm. They're staging it in the warehouse or in their shop, and they unbox it, put those fittings on, torque them to spec.
Okay.
You just got one torque wrench in the shop, so
right.
they torque it.
Those torque wrenches can make or break your.
That's right.
So they torque it to spec, right? Put the box back on, send it out with the installer, and then they just run the line down and just push it in.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, if I was back in the field now,
yep,
I would invest in so much of this. If I was doing mini splits, I would not be making a flare. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Correct. It is. When they say what could go wrong and how could we make it so that it doesn't go wrong, this is one of those solutions that it could go wrong, and this is a simple solution to make it so it doesn't go wrong. Not only will they do it on mini splits, but on a unitary system. I've had some contractors, because on the unitary system you have that body that already has the bell on it, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they will do is in the shop they'll have the guy, we'll call him George, who's been there for 60 years and he knows how to solder without using a whole stick of silver solder.
Yep.
He'll swedge on and solder on the stub that has a piece of copper and the coupling with the push fit. And now you go set that unit, and the guy doesn't have to do any soldering on the job. So you don't have a torch on the job site. In big cities, it's a big problem, because in some places, like if you're in a commercial application, or in some places, I'm going to say Boston might be one of these. You do a torch in a house, you got to have a burn inspector.
Burn permit or something.
Yeah, and that guy. So I was talking to somebody on the.
What's that? Yeah, what's that pay? What's that guy?
I don't know what that guy pays, but he gets paid like 2 hours just to sit there and watch your watch the thing so it doesn't catch fire, and then he goes to the next job. I'm like,
huh?
That is when I retire, that's what I want to do. I just want to be a burn inspector.
Yep, there you go.
Now, when I retire, I'm going to be a marshal on a golf course. That's just what it is.
I want to be an HVAC inspector. I'm just kidding. I don't want to be.
No, not it. I'm out. Yeah, I'm going to be one in Georgia. Let's do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
everybody in Georgia's listening. Nobody gets anything inspected there. So
well, inspections are optional.
That's right.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, just like proper airflow is optional. It's good air. It's good.
It's good.
It's good. I can feel it. I can feel some coming out of it. Yeah, exactly.
I used to. So we started with the wall units, and then all the ductless manufacturers went into making a little. I call them a pancake unit, or a little small ducted unit, right?
Ducts.
Yeah, and that thing will handle like 0.01 static. Like it handles no static. Like it needs basically free breathe. It's just free return, free supply into this one room. And I would get guys calling and say, "Hey man, this thing, it's just not cooling this room down." I'm like, "Oh, that's weird. How much airflow are you getting out?" "Oh, it's on, it's running." I'm like,
that doesn't answer the question.
But how much air are you getting? Well, I don't know. I'm like, well, you need to go measure that. And I'm like, how long is your duct run? Let's just start there. Oh, I put it over the garage, and the master bedroom is 48 feet away, and it's an 8-inch run. And I'm like, dude, you're only that air is only blowing like 12 feet, and then it's stopping. So.
Yeah, there's a couple, I won't name brands, but there's some mini split brands out there that have the ducted units, the air handlers, and you got to be careful. You got to look at the models, because some of those,
they're high static versus the regular.
Right.
Well, their max static might be, literally on the blower chart, might be 0.4.
Oh, it's 0.0. I mean, yeah, it's 0.3.
I mean, like on a normal air handler, like I said, I don't want to give brands, but there's 2 different models. I mean, you got to be careful with that when you're quoting them.
Yeah, I got out right when I got out of that from working for the manufacturer, right as most of them started launching the upflow horizontal, what basically looks like a traditional fan coil.
Right.
And I think that's where we're headed. We're headed towards some ductless units that'll have a combination of a head in the master bedroom, a head over in maybe kids' rooms, and then an air handler feeding the common spaces. And I think we're moving that direction where we're going to start to zone, not with dampers and air volume, but with individual refrigeration controls in each of the rooms.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask if you're seeing that up there where it's new construction with mini splits. Are you seeing that? I see commercials,
So where the mini split will go in a new construction around here is in the game room or the bonus room that's maybe above the garage,
right,
or in the basement. Oh, you want to do the basement? Well, we're going to put a mini split down there. Or your master bedroom, they may put a ductless but a ducted unit over there, so it's on its own controller. But not seeing a whole lot of whole house, and that was always the. If you want to object to a mini split, just use the word whole house in an area that gets to minus 30, because then they're like, well, you're never going to heat with that. And I'm like, you're probably actually never going to heat with that at minus 30. You should probably have something that lights. My joke in my sales presentation was, if I lived in Fargo, North Dakota, everything I owned would be made out of wood just in case.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had Ben on the show the other day, and he's pushing, everybody's pushing electrification. So,
yep.
Yeah, they're doing away with gas stoves now, so hunker in on your gas stoves.
Yeah.
Shit.
I mean, I heard the other day the fossil fuels they give you a date on when it's run out, like when it's going to run out, like literally. And I want to say it's 50 years. I don't know what Rhydon, the producer, needs to Google that, but
I can.
It was kind of a long way, but then it wasn't really that far off. I mean,
so as I didn't tell you my background, but my dad was in the oil and gas industry. So one of his jobs was to find natural gas wells out in the middle of nowhere in West Texas and whatnot. And he and I have had several conversations, and he was like, there's enough natural gas to power this country basically for the next 150 years. He goes, these things about we're going to run out of natural gas or we're going to run out of oil in the next 20 or 30 years. He goes, that's if we stopped pumping any more out. And we're not going to.
Yeah, it's if we stop. Right, I get you.
But we're not going to stop pumping. If you don't stop pumping it out, we don't run out.
That makes sense.
Let's see. According to the MAHB, not sure what that is. We'll look
according to
next.
WebMD.
Yep. Exactly. The world's oil reserves will run out by 2052, natural gas by 2060, and coal by 2090. Yeah. What's funny is they bitch about using coal for power. Right. Hey, according to this, we got much more time with coal than anything else, right?
Well, so the catchphrase in there, and then maybe, and I'm going to speak because I've had a half a glass of Granddaddy's 114, is the key phrase in there is oil reserves. That is what we already have.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's already sitting out, hanging out. That's not what hasn't been extracted.
That would be like if you said, hey, I look at your checking account right now and say, at this rate, I'm going to be out of money by, May the 5th.
Okay. Right.
Here's a good one. Don't worry, we'll never run out of oil.
Right.
When will we run out of oil? 50 years? 100? As it turns out, we may never actually run out of this incredibly useful substance.
Right. That's another Google search, yeah. Well, that guy didn't go to the right college and get trained in the right manner of speaking.
That was not a liberal arts degree, sir.
Yeah, right.
Sorry. I promised my wife that I would not talk politics, so I'm sure that guy went to a reputable college somewhere in the South.
In the South.
Yep. Next, we're going to be 3D printing steaks. Don't worry.
All right. I want to get your take on surge protection.
So, yeah. So surge was one of those things that RectorSeal kind of, I wouldn't say we fell into, but we weren't involved in it at all when I got on board 5 years ago. And there was a company that developed a product and needed a means to get to market. We partnered up with them and we launched a series of surge protection. And one of the things that I've learned about surge protection since we've launched it is that surge is not what you would think of as lightning strikes, which is what most people think about when they think of surge. They think, well, lightning strikes, or my house is going to get near strike. That's a small percentage of the overall surge. Surges happen because your neighbor turned off their air conditioner, or your refrigerator went off and on, or a transformer a mile away had a switching mechanism that went wrong. It's anything that it has an electrical disturbance can cause a surge. And according to certain research that's out there, that's what takes out a majority of the boards. Is not that the boards are bad or that the manufacturer of the boards were bad. It's that the board has basically died by 1,000 cuts.
Right.
And so, if you've ever seen a burnt board, and I've seen plenty in my life, there's always that one terminal that is it looks like it heated up and it ran and it arced across a couple of different contacts.
Right.
And you're like, well, that's weird. How'd that happen? Well, it happened because that solder that was on there from the factory heated up somehow and ran across and touched another one, and then it arced out, and then that board is now toast. Well, the question is, what caused that to heat up? And speculate, it's surges. It's little micro surges that just keep happening over and over and over again. The heat builds up, and then we take out a board. Thermistors on mini splits, thermistors on any of the communicating products, because you got sensors and thermistors everywhere in those systems, highly susceptible. And so we launched a series of surge protection with the goal of, one, protecting the product as best we could, and two, making sure that the surge itself was robust enough to survive near catastrophic events like lightning strike. Anybody that sells a surge protector that says it's going to survive a lightning strike is blowing smoke, because it's not. Right. Nothing survives a
literally.
And technically, I've never actually had to try to sell one saying that the surge protector itself will survive lightning. The whole point is, hopefully, it sacrifices itself so the unit doesn't have to.
Correct, but I'm just telling you, if there's a lightning strike in there, that power is going through everything. It's going to take everything out with it. So, what ours does is we incorporate a third product. So, not to get too technical and bore everybody, like Bill Nye the Science Guy here, but every surge protector has an MOV. That's your surge sponge. So that's the device inside the surge protectors that absorb the surge. UL, because what we don't want is have a surge protector heat up and catch a house on fire. So UL said you have to put something that turns that MOV off if it gets too hot, and that is a thermal fuse, thermal protector, something in that surge protector that will flip that MOV off. And so you'll hear the term one and done a lot, right? Oh, it's one and done. Well, it is, because if the MOV or the fuse goes off, it will kill the MOV. So they're all one and done. Once that fuse is done, it's done. Well, what we did is we added a third device. It's called a gas discharge tube. It's an inert gas that sits on the back of the MOV, and that works as a heat sponge. It's a borrowed technology from ancient times, way back in the day when we had rotary phones, is the way the story goes. But the gas discharge tube keeps the MOV from getting too hot, and so it can take numerous hits over and over and over again, and the heat that builds up in the MOV is immediately discharged into the gas discharge tube, which means the MOV lasts longer and the fuse never pops. So our most popular product is the RSH50. It's got a lifetime warranty. We've tested it in the labs and hit it again and again and again, and it just does not pop. And that's the genius of the company that made that we partnered with. That's a US based company, and their only sole business, all they do is surge protection. And you'll see, if you come to our booth at AHR, you'll see a nice little booth as I pour myself another one. You'll see.
Nice.
We will definitely be there.
I'm actually
11
looking
o'clock
at
on Tuesday.
I'm
Yeah.
looking at the RSH50
So, and you'll get
right here.
you'll get some surge protection knowledge. So hopefully the guys Fred and I think his name's Corey, they will embark on you some surge protection knowledge. I know just enough to make myself dangerous. And, I do have I did get a BS degree, so take that with a grain of salt.
I got one of those too.
I can regurgitate the best information if you give it to me in a simple format. So
have you guys noticed that power? I mean, with you messing with it and talking with these guys, is power just kind of getting worse on the dirty side?
Yeah. So there's dirty power, which is one thing, and then there's just fluctuations, and
right.
The up and down voltage is just it is getting worse. And when the power grid gets stressed to the limits, not that we have it here in my little suburb where we are, but there are parts of Chicago where in the middle of summer they will actually send you a text alert and say, hey, FYI, we're about to turn your power off for the next 3 hours.
Yeah, going down.
Yeah, you're going down, right? Because if they don't, you're going to be running in a brownout condition, and there's nothing worse than a brownout condition. It'll take out a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
which is why we launched a product, voltage range monitor, which actually monitors the voltage. The contractor gets to set the range. And Dennis, I know you're on the tech side, and right.
Yep, and we just got those this week.
Every piece of equipment that is sold in the U.S. has a installation instruction, and inside that installation instruction, it'll tell you what the voltage range for that particular compressor is, or that particular outdoor unit is. Right? It could be
absolutely correct.
So it could be a 194, it could be 196, it could be 197, but there's a range that it wants to see at the low end side, and there's a range it wants to see on the high end side. Well, with this voltage range monitor, the contractor gets to dial that in, so they can put it at 190. If it says it's 195, then he puts it at 196, and we never get there. If it gets below 196, we kill the power, save the unit.
Nice.
They get to tell it how long it wants to be off, and say 3 minutes or so, and then if everything returns, it comes back on. Homeowner probably doesn't even know what's happening.
Right.
When we field tested this, we sent it out to a few of our reps and had them put it on their outdoor units at their house. One of the reps came back and said, "Hey, I went and checked it," because it records it, so it lets you know, hey, you've had X amount of low voltages and X amount of high voltages occurrences. It doesn't record that. It doesn't date stamp it, which would be super cool if it did a time and date stamp. It just records that it occurred. And this one particular rep, didn't think he had any issues, and he put it in, and I want to say in a week, maybe it was 2 weeks, he came back and he's like, I've had 10 instances of low voltage.
Wow.
Did not know that was occurring low voltage. So I need to have a conversation with my utility company now.
Well, I was going to say, I was in, I think, Greensboro or somewhere, part of North Carolina. I'm in their warehouse. I'm doing some training just in these guys' shop. I got my step up transformer. I was like, yeah, you got a decent outlet around here. He's like, yeah, this one's just on a 20 amp breaker. I'm like, all right, I plug it in. I got 195 volts going to my training system.
Right.
And he's like, huh? I'm like, yeah, my step up transformer, it's usually 230, 240, right. 238. And, of course, this was an inverter system I was training on, and it did fine because I think it's 175 on the low side, which is crazy to me.
Right. I mean, you do. But
that's inverter, right? Inverter technology. It doesn't. Man, it just doesn't like that. I've trained on other brands, and you start getting in the 250 range, and they're like, no, not having it.
We had that one in Wilmington that kept jumping over 253 is what top end used to be for. Isn't that what it was? I think. And that thing was spiking. Once we realized it wasn't level in the attic, that was problem number one. But yeah, we've seen some weird power stuff. I know you saw some weird power stuff with a bunch of commercial stuff here in Charlotte too.
Yeah, there's just parts of the state that are just really high on the voltage.
And it's everywhere across the country. Anywhere where
Right.
and I'd say anywhere who has a power grid probably has a power grid issue.
Now,
Right.
Donnie, are you seeing more HVAC contractors putting these in from the jump? Are you seeing more guys go back and retrofit with it, or are you actually seeing electricians at all using them?
So, Tucker, your first one first. So, guys who are proactive, right? So, as in right being a TM, right? Your A contractors, right? The guys who are selling up and who actually have an intentional sales process and are not writing their bids and quotes on a bar napkin, or just texting the homeowner, hey, it's $3,800. The guys who have an intentional process are putting them on the installation as a standard feature. You get an outdoor unit, condenser pad, surge protector line with, it's part of their package.
Right.
Some of the other contractors, I'd say they're using them if the homeowner says, hey, well, so-and-so said I need a surge protector. They're like, oh, yeah, I can add that too.
Right.
And then the really, really good contractors are using them on a service side. So you got a service technician. Okay, so Dennis, here's a $100,000 question. If you're in the South and it's the middle of July and you have a service call for no cooling, and you had $10 bet, what would be the number one thing you'd place your bet on that's wrong with that outdoor unit?
Capacitor.
There you go. It's a capacitor. The capacitor.
Or I was going to say utility company has got it shut off.
Right? No. Yeah. It's probably the capacitor, right?
Yeah.
Well, cooling, they're going to show up. That capacitor looks like a fat tick on a bulldog. And
poor bulldog. Jeez.
So the question is, why did that capacitor go bad? Well, it's a cheap Chinese crap. They've been making those things in China for, more than a decade now. There's a reason why that capacitor went bad. More than likely, it has sustained hundreds, if not thousands, of mild surges. And it finally just said, I am done. I'm done with this, and it pops. So the good contractors will go and they'll say, because, change the capacitor, it's however many dollars. It's not worth your drive across town to change the capacitor.
Nope.
You got to put a service fee. You got to do other stuff. So a good service contractor will say, how about I sell you a surge protector? Or how about I put a voltage monitor? Or how about I sell you something so that this doesn't happen again?
Yep.
And that's where we're seeing a lot of them. Now, to your point on the electrician, certain parts of the country, once it leaves the panel, you have to have an electrician. I mean, there are certain parts of my territory where the HVAC contractor doesn't even put in the disconnect. Like I have a
here. That's where we're at.
Unless you go and get the little addendum to your license.
Right. I had a part of my territory where they weren't allowed to wire in the 24 volt thermostat wire. You had to get an electrician to do that. They finally got that superseded. Where
I bet that went over well.
Well, basically what contractors were doing was you had, and we'll call him George again. George had his electrical license. He worked for Bob's Heating and Cooling, and so we don't need an electrician on our job. We have George. He works in the office.
We've got. Well, I say we. I've got a big customer, and I think they have 8 or 9 electricians on staff just for HVAC hookups. That's it.
Yeah, that's
they
all.
They don't do any electrical. All their plumbing, mechanical, and that's it.
Yeah, and in some places, that guy doesn't even have to go to the job. He just has to be. You just have to have that license assigned to that business. Yep. Like I said, there were some electricians who were retiring that were working for companies that their shadow never graced a job site.
Right. Yeah. That's a good gig too. Speaking of,
yeah, if you got the license, I mean, might as well sell it. It's yours until you die.
That's right.
But that's so surge protection has been a really big product for us. It, I can't give in any numbers, but it has become one of our top priority products.
Well, where equipment's heading, we got to have it. It's
the more electronics, the more sensors, anything that you add to that outdoor unit or indoor unit, you're going to have some issues. I've got a surge protector on my outdoor unit, and I got a surge protector on my gas furnace in the basement. So,
yeah, there's some companies around Charlotte that they do push it hard on the service side, and I think they typically sling more doing that than they do. I mean, obviously they offer it on the install, but yeah, and they're changing too. You know, the ones I was putting in several years ago were just kind of pretty basic.
Right, so you get the one and done. So again, if they don't have that third gas discharge tube, what'll happen is the surge will work up until the point where the MOV gets hot, and then the thermal fuse will pop, and then it's done. The worst case scenario is the ones that wire in series or parallel, so that if it pops, that it kills the outdoor unit. So now in the middle of June, you don't have a surge protector because it popped, and then you also don't have air conditioning until somebody comes and wires that in. Most of them, it just falls out of line, and you still have power. You still have power to the equipment. You just don't have any surge protection.
Now, does y'all's cover any kind of? I've seen some that have the
downstream protected.
Well, no, as far as the insurance warranty.
It's downstream. So anything downstream from the surge protector is protected.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's 3 or 5 years depending on the model, 3,000, 5,000, and really what that does is it ensures the homeowner, because if let's say that you have it installed and it fails and the outdoor unit gets smoked, they're going to file a homeowner's insurance claim because it's going to be multiple thousands of dollars more than the. Yep. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover the deductible, so the homeowner's going to be out no money. And it's a quick, easy process. There's very little paperwork involved. One of the nice things about RectorSeal, everything we have straight out of the box, no matter the product, has a 3-year warranty to the homeowner, to the contractor, and there's no paperwork involved. Like we don't require a whole bunch of justifications. We don't need you to take the blood of your firstborn son and process it. We basically say if our product failed and you put it on on your project, you show us that it failed and we're there to help you. So we've got an across the board minimum 3-year warranty, and then we have some products that have 5 years, some products that have 10 year, and then we've got some products that have lifetime. And all of them are no registration required.
Well, so while we're on that, just on a side note, with anything HVAC, what do you think about warranty? You think everybody's moving in the direction of let's just put, let's say equipment, let's just put 10 years on it, or are we? You think we're going to get away from registering anything, or what are you thinking?
So there's a couple of ways of looking at it. When I got into the industry, and I hate to go back, the longest warranty you could get on any compressor was 5 years.
Right.
Right. And then everybody went to 10 years, and contractors freaked out. Contractors like, I'm never going to sell another piece of equipment. You've got a 10-year warranty on this stupid thing, right? And then, then everything. I mean, I almost cussed. You almost had to bleep me there.
No bleeps here, sir.
This isn't Jim, and we're not on. The FCC's not listening in on us.
No.
So
not yet.
And now even your base models have basically a 10-year warranty. And I used to joke a lifetime heat exchange warranty. You know what that's worth? It's not worth much, because if 15 years, if that heat exchanger is bad, you're getting a new furnace. Nobody's changing your heat exchanger in 15 years. So short answer is I think we're moving towards more longer warranties with less paperwork. It is a nice advantage to the homeowner. The contractors can use it as a marketing tool to help sell more. But I can never get the thought out of my head from a contractor in 1996-ish, give or take, when we were converting over to the 410, and we had a 10-year warranty on the equipment that had a 410 in it. And he's like, you guys are basically killing my service industry. My service department is basically the warranty department now.
Yep.
He goes, and there's no profit in effing warranties.
Well, and I think you're going to see the way more and more brands are going to Bluetooth startup, Bluetooth commissioning, and all this. And these manufacturers are doing that for a reason. They're doing that so they can just gather more information easier anyway. But, where you're going to see more stuff, I think, is going to be auto-registered as you're commissioning it. They're like, well, it started up. There's no hiding when you put it in now.
Correct.
And it's going to
God, look at that
route.
static. God,
Yep.
that static is high.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, some of the equipment, and again, like we were talking early before the show started. This, I've got a rep out in Ohio that sells that equipment that you're selling, and it registers. I mean, like he can set it up, and he's like, hey, ductwork's wrong. And I know there's a couple of brands out there on their communicating systems. Like if you turn that air handler on, and your static pressure is like 1.0, that thing just shuts down and says you got to fix the ductwork before I turn back on.
It says what does it say? What does it say on your brand, Rhydon? It's not
it's some
it
kind
used
of
to not
it'll
say
do-
anything.
It'll do
Now
some
it
kind of
says-
internal. It'll be like an internal fault or something else. You'll
out
have
of
a,
limit
you'll have a
or-
blower out of limit.
It says, hey, dumbass, your ductwork's screwed
Right.
up.
It says the curtains are not moving.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. You didn't change the ductwork. I see what you've done. You've used that ductwork that the guy put in 1984 for this system.
I saved
So
the
what-
homeowner $4,000. Isn't that
my
what
goodness.
matters?
Right.
So what do you guys think is going to be the biggest thing at AHR this year? Because this is a big show this year, considering what all's happening. I mean,
I think HVAC R&D is going to be the biggest event of the show.
I think the
Podcast
I think
pavilion,
the pod pavilion.
Let's go.
Yeah, I think the pod pavilion on Monday afternoon is probably going to be the highlight of the show.
And on Tuesday
Well, I
afternoon.
mean-
And on
and
Tuesday.
Wednesday afternoon.
You
I mean,
never
technology
know.
wise, like, what do you? I know you don't know.
You
'cause-
don't know. So we were in I think we were in Atlanta. I can't remember now, when we launched the ProFit Push Fit, right? And it was 1,000 people came to our booth, and not underestimating, not overestimating this. It was like, this is crazy that you're doing a push fit fitting on refrigeration. They'd seen it on the plumbing side, right? Where your maximum pressures are 40 PSI.
Yep.
And we're like, no, we're at
No, we're 30,000 or what?
We're at
I mean-
870 PSI. And in order to get that rating, you got to be multiple times above that. So we know what the PSI rating for these fittings are. And it was just mind blowing.
I remember when they came out.
Right? And we're thinking, at least me internally and a few of my colleagues were like, well, we're winning product of the show because there's nothing out there that blew people's minds away like this. And then, of course, we didn't get the product of the show. So, it's all rigged. It's all rigged.
It's all rigged.
It's rigged.
Hey, we know who to introduce you to. No,
But, yeah.
Right.
But, you never know. Somebody's going to come out with something that'll be really cool. RectorSeal has some cool products. You love variable speed, right? You love inverter variable speed.
Yep.
We got a
Yeah,
mini split pump. I mean, if you want to talk about mini splits and how to get the condensation out of there,
Oh, please, God, somebody come
Yes.
up with something for that.
we have a.
it doesn't cost $400.
Well, no, they're just
But
Man,
we
I
have
mean-
a variable speed, auto adjusting condensate pump that goes under your wall mounted unit that the fan blower on the air handler is louder than the pump itself. It is.
well, there's just that whole game is just not good.
Mm.
Like
No, it's
nobody has anything,
It's
man.
tough.
I'm telling you, they're either the wiring's confusing as hell,
Yep.
or
This
it
was-
doesn't pump, or it's too big, or
Right. Well, so what they try to do, we work with Aspen on our mini
I
split
was gonna
pump.
say, is that the
Yep.
the
Silent
mini
Plus.
white? The
Yep.
mini white.
Yep, the Silent Plus. So
well, it's not silent now.
so we had a white one, and the white one's pretty good, but people would buy the blue, right? So they'd use the aqua, and they would try to cram it in because they want to fit it all into the indoor head, right? Well, you've got two line sets, you've got a drain line, you've got insulation, and they try to fit all of that. We'll call it 3 pounds into a 2 pound bag, right?
Yep.
And it just doesn't work. Well, the white one, which hung underneath it, quickly became our number one seller. The problem is that it just wasn't super quiet. This next one, the one that we have now, is I mean, it's whisper quiet. It is just, you cannot hear it run. I've hooked them up. We've had demonstrations, and that thing. The nice thing about it is, as the water level, if you're humid in your house, you turn it on, and the water level is condensing really fast, and so you get a lot of inrush of water. It'll speed up and suck it out, but once it drops down, it just wants to run at that low speed, just like your fan.
Huh.
So it speeds up and slows down based on the amount of water that's in the reservoir. And the reservoir, I should probably have this, this is one of those things you should probably prep for if you're going to do a podcast, is how much water will that reservoir hold? We'll call it a half a cup, maybe a fourth of a cup. It's not much water in that thing, because the idea is that the pump doesn't shut off while the outdoor unit's running. You want that pump on all the time so that you don't hear the shift in the noise. What we normally hear as a change or a loud noise is really just a change in noise. Like your refrigerator's running right now, you don't know it, but when it turns off, you recognize that it shut off or it came on, but you didn't know it was running when it was running.
Right.
So
totally got away from me.
Yep. So exactly. So that could be a neat product that we're launching at the AHR.
I was going to say, a lot of companies, you have no idea, they literally launch it at AHR.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, and then because I've worked for several manufacturers, I can speak to this. A lot of them launch things at AHR that are just not quite ready yet.
No, right?
Yep.
And here's our.
I've been to those booths.
Yeah.
I've been to those.
Here's our latest and greatest product. It'll be out in 6 or 8 months.
That's going to be pretty much every manufacturer talking about most of their Tier 2 stuff. So here we go.
Maybe, right? So yeah, who knows?
Yeah, this is a good year for this. There's a lot going on.
Well, I think it's our first really full year away from the pandemic scare, and so hopefully we have a full crowd. Atlanta's not my favorite. This is probably my. I don't know.
Well, of course, you want it in Chicago.
So Orlando is probably my favorite place. Vegas is actually my favorite, because Vegas is, who doesn't like Vegas?
Well, it's Vegas.
But but this is probably like my 15th AHR to attend, and it'll be pretty good. This will be a good show. It'll be well attended. There will be a lot of activity, a lot of buzz coming and going from this show.
Well, I was going to say, me and Rhydon subscribe. I got a bunch of newsletters I subscribe to, and a lot of change in equipment this year. A lot. Not just knocking off your bottom 14 and moving up, but there's been, there's some evaporator coils that, some new designs there from other brands. Right. We got, refrigerant changes right around the corner. Those things are on my phone every day still.
You gotta love that,
God, it's 2025. That's not far off.
No.
So it's now explain. So who do you have anything to do with y'all's on the marketing side? As far as, have you noticed a change on what you guys got to do for marketing?
Wait, I'm going to say this because I know the marketing team's the only team that's going to listen to this. I don't. Do we have a marketing team? I read them. So Delisha and Kathy right now. I will tell you this: when I started at RectorSeal, marketing was an afterthought. We were basically a manufacturer that sold to distributors, and that was kind of how they viewed the corporate, viewed the how we went to market. We got some new leadership. Hopefully you get to meet those guys. And one of the first things that was the initiative is we got to do a better job of making sure our products are out in front of the people who want and need to see the products. So you got to market it. And we hired Delisha came on board. She is phenomenal as far as getting things together. I probably hound her as much as any RSM in the organization, but it has changed. So we've got a dedicated person on our website who makes sure that all our products are up to date in the photos and 3D images and that sort of thing. We've got somebody dedicated to our social media who makes sure that we get posts and we ask for comments. We ask for pictures of job sites and that sort of thing.
Yep.
You know, we are as motivated and as active on social media as we possibly can be. I link, follow, share, you know, whatever the actual term is
Right.
that you can do. I try to do that as much as possible. And I know some of my other compadres do that as well. So it has definitely made a difference as far as how the brand RectorSeal and some of the products that we sell are viewed. Because like I said, if you go to some old school guys, right? So you go and talk to Cajun Joe, right? You
Oh,
say,
yeah.
what do you know about RectorSeal? He's going to say it's pipe thread sealant and solvent cement.
Pipe dope.
Pipe dope. Yeah, he's going to call it
Making
pipe.
pipe dope.
He's going to
That's
pipe
a
dope.
great shirt. Dang it.
And you know, we're trying to rebrand our brand. I look at us, and I think internally we kind of look at us as we're the Procter and Gamble of HVAC. We have several different brands underneath us. So Safety Switch, Aspen, Hubset, you know, Solvent number 5. We not private label. We brand our products out there so that it fits a specific niche. And then the RectorSeal is the big brand. So we're the
Yep.
parent company. So
Yeah, it's definitely.
but
Me and Ryan talk about it all the time.
I would get on Instagram, but I hear they cut people's services and they kick you off.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
They will.
Yeah.
They'll pull the rug out from under you real quick.
Yeah.
I would like.
Anybody want to drop the old F-bomb? Now's a good time.
Exactly. Yeah. But by the way, don't say don't say anything. They're listening. If you say anything negative, you'll lose the other side.
My lips are
Yeah, right.
sealed.
This is probably so. You do have one more follower tonight. So, you know, all truth be told, I am not a Insta. I don't do the Instas. That is that's for the younger crowd. I'm over 50, so over 50 we don't Insta.
Right.
But
So you're just Snapchat.
yeah, I'm just all I'm a TikTok dancer, man. You got to see
Oh,
me.
God.
Hey, we're over there too.
Yep.
We're on LinkedIn. You can find us over there.
Yeah, my one of the interesting things about my family dynamics is my wife is also in the HVAC industry, so she is now following you guys on Instagram. So you do have one more follower.
There we go.
About 6:00 this evening Central Time. So you know, put another notch in your belt. Have another glass.
Yeah, tell her sorry for the gym. I mean, you're going to get some pretty crazy posts from me. Ryan's crushing it over there. I always we get these guys on the show that are running all this stuff on their own.
Right.
We can kind of double team it.
Well, so last week I had the most followers on MySpace. So, you know.
Oh, man. God. I'm pretty sure I created MySpace and 2 months later it's gone. I'm
Exactly.
I was ready to kill this.
Friend.
Oh, MySpace.
Yeah. So
Facebook and then somebody said they were just going to create my face between.
That's what my father-in-law calls Facebook or any of them to this day. Is have you checked your MySpace or my face? I'm like, what?
Yeah, you're.
Kristen's like, no, Dad.
All right, so do you want to throw out some? I know it's getting late for everybody. Do you want to throw out some AHR stuff as far as where and when and come by and see you?
Yeah, no, I mean, come by and see us. I should have written down our booth number. It's 20.
So it is a booth 2029.
2029. Yeah, there you go.
Here, I'll do a little
booth
plug
numbers.
for you.
Yeah,
So
it's booth 2029. We'll be there every day, all day, and we will have a lot of products on display with our not only just our product team, our sales team, and our product development team, but our marketing guys will be there. I think you guys are scheduled to be there. We've got a couple of other podcasters coming by to see us to talk about some of the products.
So
I'm going to go ahead and apologize for the crew we bring by there.
Probably so.
So here's the thing. I know you guys are, because I listened to your podcast. I stumbled across it accidentally while I was flipping the channels. I'm just kidding.
Oh, man.
Hey, man, liked what I heard, stayed.
But
Right.
so I heard that you guys are taking a group of high schoolers from is it a technical school? Is that what it is?
Yep, that's going to be Wednesday morning between 10 and 11.
So
Yep. Bless their hearts too.
I mean,
So if you want us to drag him over there too?
I'm actually excited about that.
Great.
I'm gonna find a kid in that group, and he's gonna be ready to go.
You're gonna sponsor that kid? Yeah, I mean,
No, he's gonna be ready to go. There's gonna be a couple kids in there that are pretty pumped about it.
I want to say there's a couple of things I want to say kudos to you guys, before we get off. Kudos for you guys for doing that for the high schoolers, because what we need in this industry is more people leaning into the trades at a younger age. The Instagram, TikTok society says, if you can make your money doing this way, there's no reason to learn a trade. Trades are never going away. I don't care. I don't care if the computers take over. The computer ain't fixing your air conditioner. The computer's not rewiring your house. The computer's not fixing your drain commode. There's never going to be that guy that does that. So we're going to need trades no matter what. And that's been true from caveman all the way up. The second thing I want to say a big kudos, and maybe this is a little out of time, but you guys do a special lead in. Typically it's in the beginning on the mental health aspect of being in here.
Yep.
I mean,
trade crew, unlike the equipment we install each and every day, life doesn't come with an install guide. As tradespeople, we work in a fast-paced and ever-changing industry, and it's normal to sometimes feel overwhelmed or stressed. And it's not just you. We all have difficult things happen in life, and you are not alone. Whether it's trying to figure out how far you can stretch the only 10 boxes of flex you could get from your supplier, maybe you're looking at changing your job, having a career change, or perhaps you're becoming a spouse or a new parent, encountering any challenge in life can make you feel unsure. There are all kinds of things that are happening in everyone's lives all the time. As installers, for example, we're taught to properly put equipment into service with all the necessary accessories and fail-safes in place, from float switches to surge protection, to help safeguard that system for your customer against all the things that could potentially go wrong during its lifetime. Why not put that much thought into protecting your own mental health from the rigors of your life? Therapists are the trade professionals of the mind. They're trained to help you figure out the causes of conflicting and challenging emotions, and to help you learn productive coping strategies, making therapy the closest thing to a factory tour of the most important piece of equipment in our lives, our brains. We're constantly in front of new people with new scenarios each and every day, and it's natural to sometimes feel overwhelmed and out of place. We want you to know that therapy is a positive thing. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask for and to seek out professional advice and guidance. As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched over 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists, available 100% online. It's affordable, and once you sign up, you just fill out their brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. And if your polarity is off with your therapist, you can easily switch to a new one at any time at no cost to you. Trade crew, I'm telling you, access to therapy cannot be simpler. There's no traffic, no waiting rooms, no endless searching for the right therapist, no awkward feeling while you're filling out paperwork in an office. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/HVACRND. That's betterhelp.com/HVACRND. That's 10% off at betterhelp.com/HVACRND.
Major kudos for you guys for bringing that to the forefront. There's a major mental health crisis in not only in the trades, but in the male side of the industry, where it just wears you down. And not that
it's a brutal industry.
Yep.
I mean,
correct. And so anybody out there that needs a chat, share my contact with. I tell all my friends, and I lost a really, really close buddy of mine about a year ago to suicide, and it is a devastating thing. So not to be a Debbie Downer.
No, you're good.
But it's never as bad as you think it is, and tomorrow is always a new day. So just go for tomorrow. But
right.
I just wanted to say to you guys, because I listen to you guys, I'm like, dude, these guys. I mean, you spend a good 15, 45 seconds talking about this, and that is major kudos to you for doing that. It is I found it well received, and it warms me. So
little sneak peek. We may or may not can get him on the show. I think we can. Obviously, I've heard, but we got a guy that. Yep. 20 10 minutes is is his podcast, and his podcast is all about mental health.
Nice.
And we're going to get him on the show, but he's got his own little podcast. It's a 20-minute episode, but he's went through a lot. We're going to have him on the show down the road. And because it is what it is, man. I've been in these attics. I've been in crawl spaces at 10 o'clock at night. And I'm just like, what is going on here? And then, there's obviously that compiled with what's going on at home, and it's a brutal industry. And
correct. There's a lot of
can
time.
Get to you.
Right. There's a lot of time away.
Right.
It's a, I don't know the stats. It's probably got to be one of the one of the high end.
It's the top.
It's I think it's right up there. Which
right.
I know we talked about that with Ben 2 episodes ago. Which Ben HVAC Strong is also scheduled to be at RectorSeal. He'll be there at 3 p.m. on Monday.
Is he going to have his? Is that the Kiltmeister?
That's the man with the kilt right there.
Oh, man. So what you failed to ask, and I was very disappointed in you guys. I was just going to call you out. You failed to ask him what he wears under his kilt. I
thought that was like a rule.
Given that it was nothing.
I'm just gonna. Can you say pants him? Can I pants him at the
tactical awards?
Kilt him.
Is he a ginger? Because if you pants him, he might be. So.
Oh yeah, I should have asked him.
Yeah, I was like, "Come on, guys."
What does your tartan look like, sir?
I'm listening to that episode. I'm like, ask him what he wears underneath it. Ask him what he wears underneath it.
God, I didn't think. See, that's why we should have put it in the notes.
That's true.
So
remember to ask Ben what he wears under his kilt.
I will DM him tomorrow.
So, I know I don't know if we're running out of time. Do you guys even have a time?
We're never running out of time, man.
No, you're good.
You talk as long as you want.
Oh.
You just keep pouring more fingers in that glass, and
exactly.
We'll go.
There you go.
He's got to be out of ice by now.
No, here. I can. Oh shit! I don't want to shake it, but. So here's the funny thing. My wife brought me more ice, so she's sneaky that way.
That's a good lady right there.
She's a keeper.
Mine is asleep.
She
for
is a
sure.
keeper. One of the things that RectorSeal did that really accelerated our growth is that we acquired 2 different grill manufacturers. GRDs are not something that people just get out of bed and get excited about. But
right.
We acquired True Air and we acquired Shoemaker, and in doing so, we became the largest GRD supplier in the U.S. and we will have both of those brands on showcase at the AHR booth. So there's a good chance that the grills you have in your house might be from one of those 2 manufacturers.
I'll tell you, buddy, I sell
True Air
boatload. Sure. I sell a boatload of True Air grills for you.
That's awesome.
Here. So
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's all I've ever put my hands on in the South down here.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I just wanted to make sure I got that in there. 1, my bosses may be listening. They want to make sure I get that in there. And 2, it really did. If you want to add gasoline to the fire, that's one thing that can really stoke your business as a manufacturer. Get a couple of manufacturers that really own a certain segment of the business.
Right.
Well, and when we moved to True Air, I'm trying to think. I think we moved into True Air right around when you first came to work with me, Dennis, somewhere right in there. And as soon as we brought in True Air, I immediately, had a lot better access to competitive commercial grills than I ever did before. Yeah. And I sell a ton of, I think they just changed the part number on me. Dang it, I got to go look. But I used to sell, and I still sell a bunch of the, was it the SD saddles for commercial?
Saddle grill, yeah, the commercial grill. Yeah.
I swear, didn't they just change the part number of those things though? There's one of them they just changed, and it jacked me all up the other day when I was trying to find it.
It's on a spreadsheet.
Hey, Ryan, you know better than to try to memorize part numbers by this point, don't you?
Hey man, they just live up there.
Right,
they get ingrained whether I want them to be or not.
So you know the crazy
solid
thing.
At that.
This is the craziest thing I tell my wife all the time. I can't remember, what we had for dinner last Wednesday night. I can remember the model number of the tin-sear condensing unit.
Oh, trust me, I know.
Well, that's what we do, man. We're in it.
And that's 30 years ago. I can remember that model number, the tin-sear condensing unit.
That's that spider web factor.
Oh yeah. So
There it is.
Dennis and I were
Segue.
talking earlier. So spider web. So again, I stumbled into this industry, and I swore when I got into it, I'm like, anytime I get an opportunity to get out of here, I should probably go back and use this degree that we paid for, so that we don't look like we just spent a bunch of money at a university for whatever. So I've tried numerous times to leave the industry and pursue other avenues. And like a spider web, every time you twist and turn and try to get out of it, you just get more impelled and more trapped into it.
Yep.
To the point where
I feel like
I've moved twice. Right. So I wanted to get out of it, and they're like, no, we're going to keep you into it, and we're going to move you across the country.
And we're right.
So,
Well, I feel like if you've put at least, I feel like if you've put 5 years in this industry, you might as well stay in it.
right. For sure. And so I've now resided to the fact that the HVAC industry is like the mob, and we're all made men, and there's only one way out. And if you've seen Goodfellas, you know that way. And it's with a pair of concrete shoes.
The hot
Put
seat.
me out of my misery, please.
Exactly. That's the only way you're getting out of here. There's no other industry that will accept you now.
Right. I feel like we need to. Me and Ryan are going to push to get some more. I want to get some plumbers on here. I want to get some machine operators on here.
Yeah, so I started because I
That's a
was
goal
listening
this year.
to you guys. One, I was doing my research to try to make sure that I didn't make a complete fool of myself on this podcast. I started listening to you guys, and there's a different app. What is it? Hounds? The
Trade Hounds.
Trade Hounds. So I signed up and downloaded the Trade Hounds. That is, if you need a spot to download some images of some really good installs or really good projects, that is some crazy stuff. And the earth, so we do some plumbing. RectorSeal is also in plumbing. So I looked at the plumbing industry, and then the earth moving,
Oh yeah, I cannot.
Oh,
stop
like the
watching
heavy
that.
machinery guys and all.
Oh my God. I'm
Dude,
like,
I can't stop watching that crap. I freaking love it. Like the freaking Dirt Gang here in like an hour from us. I'll watch his Instagram all day because I just love watching all these.
Well, they always got one of their little kids up there driving it.
dude, I'm just like, how did you get that machine wherever it is to where it went to? Because those are massive machines.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, that is some crazy stuff. It if you want to kill some time and you want to get a time suck in, that is you can get hooked up into that and lose your day.
Dang it, I know what I am throwing up for Throwback Thursday now tomorrow, and it's going to be just for Donnie.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I've
You didn't get to your. You got a Crawlspace confession?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. So Crawlspace. So I've listened to a few of your episodes, and I hear funny stories about dead critters in crawl spaces and whatever, that sort of thing. So.
Right.
As I mentioned, however long ago it was, an hour and a half ago, I got into this industry because I went to work for my uncle who owned an air conditioning business in Amarillo. And one of the first jobs that we went on, I hadn't been on the job for probably about a month, was a townhouse where we were going to run ductwork. We were going to do a downflow conversion. So we're going to run ductwork in the closet into the crawl space to all the bedrooms, and then that's where the ductwork was going to go.
Right.
At that point in time, I'm 5'10", and at that point in time, I probably weighed about 160, 170, 80, skinny little dude. And so I'm the duck rat, and I'm the attic rat. And so I'm the guy going into this crawl space that probably was. At its height, it might have been 18 inches, and at its lowest was probably 6, and I had to dig. So they sent me down with a little campsite shovel. He's like, if you ever hit a beam,
one you unfold.
A foxhole.
Yes, exactly. You unfold it. So if you get in a spot, dig yourself out and crawl in. And what my uncle was going to do was go into the bedrooms and cut the the 4x10 or 10x4 holes out, and he was going to drop the boot down, and I was going to run the flex duct over to him and then tie it in. That was my job. So the hole that I had to get down into this crawl space was 10x10, 12x12 at best, right? It's in a closet.
Wow.
And so I dropped down into this thing, and it's dark, as you can imagine, because it's dark in these crawl spaces.
Yep.
And I'm crawling on belly, doing the belly crawl, and all of a sudden I feel something. Moist? We'll call it
Moist.
roll across my belly, right?
Oh God!
No.
So at about 1,000 miles an hour, I jumped backwards probably 50 feet. And as he describes it, I came out of the hole backwards, like it was in reverse. Like, I don't know how he said, I don't know how you did a handstand backwards, but I did a handstand and crawled out of that crawl space backwards. And I'm like, there is a snake or something down there. And he's like, there's no snake. And so he at the time is probably 6'4", 340 pounds. So he's a big old boy, right?
Getting in the hole.
So he turns upside down and puts his head down in there and flashes a flashlight down there. And about 20 feet from the hole where I had encountered this moist creature was a slug about the size of a pencil. It's probably maybe 8 inches long. So yeah. So I rolled across a slug that went up my shirt, and it scared
Hey, understandable.
Damn.
Yeah.
You don't know what it is.
An 8-inch long slug either.
Yeah. So it scared the bejeebies out of me, as they say in the South.
So the worst thing I've ever had in a crawl space, I'm not worried about critters. I cannot stand to get a cramp in a crawl space.
A cramp?
A cramp in my leg or something.
I mean, where else do you want to be to get a cramp? I don't like a cramp anywhere.
I don't know how many times I've gotten a cramp and like raised up and hit the back of my head on the joist, or I'm just like, well, you can't, I mean, the only way to fix a cramp is to like walk it out.
Right.
I mean, you can't do that under there.
No.
So
No,
no
crawling it out.
There's no way. You just that's like getting a cramp in here. Well, yeah, no, you just got to stretch it out. You got to man up.
You got to. Yeah, I mean, you just leave it, let a cramp just go, and it just goes away.
Right.
I don't know if I've ever tried that.
No, thank you.
Yeah, so they for the next 4 or 5 weeks, every installation crew, they're like, "Hey, Donnie, you want to go in the crawl space?" I'm like, "I'm good."
Nah, I'm trying to quit. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, trying to quit.
Yeah, I was actually in one last week for a site visit. It wasn't too bad. It was actually one of those where you could you could walk in there, but you're bent over halfway.
Yep. Like
you almost
the 3.5 foot crawl space.
Yeah, you're like, okay, so I just get on my knees, and you're like, well, no, actually, I can kind of stand up. Oh no, I can't. My back hurts. I got to get back down to my knees. It's kind of in the middle. Sucks.
Those are the worst. I mean, it's just better just be low, so when you get on your belly and crawl, people don't look at you like you're strange, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the duck waddle across some of those is it's not pretty. It should not be filmed.
I don't miss some of that.
No.
Yeah, I don't miss that at all. That was I would say probably numero uno or numero dos on why I went into wholesale and wanted to get out of the field.
Right.
I think
but
number
hey,
one was Cajun Joe and I were tired of button heads.
Oh yeah.
And it was right at housing market crash and everything, 08, 09, 010 when I was getting out of school. So that was when I went into wholesale. It was.
I mean, you tell me I'm doing a crawl space change out. You got to get your mind right. You just got to get after it.
Yep.
Right.
Let's go ahead and get after it and get it done. I mean, there's no sense in trying to ease in there.
Yeah.
Nope.
I've done everything from I've dug the trenches so that you could put the ductwork in the concrete before the slab was poured. to doing the crawl spaces, to now doing the basement, to running ductwork in an attic. And I'm just telling you, there's no easy job. They all have their hurdles.
No, it's a physical industry. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, no, I never had to dig trenches. Amazingly, where I was gonna say, Dennis, did you ever have to do any of
No,
that?
I was gonna say I never.
anything.
Yeah. So again, Amarillo. So everything was on a slab, but they wanted a downflow system. So they wanted the ductwork in the floor. So we had to dig a trench, and it looked like an ant farm. So you dig the trench, not with a machine, but by hand. And then you put the metal ductwork in there, and then you put the concrete over. So it's already insulated with the concrete. So you're good to go.
Now, did you ever? Did they ever have issues with rusting out, or did you have to use a certain gauge to make sure it stood up?
By the time it rusted out, it's out of warranty. So
that's true.
Hell right warranty.
Yep.
So, and I don't know I don't know which one of you two guys is older. So, did any of you guys ever deal with ammonia systems?
I haven't.
No, thank God.
So again, when you start doing, you just clean up yard work for your uncle and you're 16 or 17, one of the first things they tell you is, hey, out here is a scrap yard. We want to take all the copper and aluminum and we want to turn it into, go turn it into the recycling thing. But we have to get the gas. We have to get the gas out of it. Okay.
Oh.
So just take your hacksaw and just let it bleed out. Again, this is late 80s, early 90s. Nobody gave a 2 cents about the environment. It was just cut it and let it bleed. Did you know if there's a green label on that unit that it's full of ammonia? So when you cut it, you better not take a breath. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that you only do that once, as they say.
Yeah, you only do it. Yeah. You only do it.
I don't think I took a deep breath for a week.
I have worked on ammonia units like on a camper, like helping a buddy, just troubleshooting, fixing, working on like a little rooftop on a travel trailer or something.
Yeah, no, this was like a 4 or 5 ton condensing unit that they pumped down and stored all of it into the condensing unit.
Nice. Just for you. Just for you, Donnie.
Just for me.
Hey,
that's
how about we pump this down? We'll put it in the yard. We'll go tell Donnie to break it down. See what happens.
Knowing those guys, that problem, I don't know, that thing had been there for a while. But yes, they did say, here's a hacksaw. Go out there and cut these all loose. Failed to mention the fact that this one is full of ammonia.
I remember backing up to our shop. I'm not going to throw anything out there, but I remember backing up to our shop like in the middle of the day. I'm like, I got to run by here and get some parts. God, there is a fog coming out of that door over there. This was like, 10 years ago. So it was R22 or 410. I'm like, somebody's breaking down equipment over there.
Yep.
One of the bays is what it is.
Dude, back in the day, we used to, again, we would, freeze each other with R22. That'd be a fun little,
right.
Just go behind somebody and squirt some R22 on their leg, freeze the crap out of them. Just stupid shit that we would do.
That was a $10,000 fine.
I was gonna say I've got a video of hitting a snake with some 22 to get him out of a unit.
Oh yeah, there you go. You ever aired up a tire with 22?
Oh yeah, I have with 410. Yeah. Or nitrogen. Actually, we use nitrogen a lot.
Yeah, so you get a little tire, get a little low, you just put a little 410 in it, or a little 22 in it. By the way, don't fill it full because that shit warms up quick.
No, in the summer, man, you gotta be. There's a ratio there.
Exactly.
You gotta be careful of that.
It's like it gets more inflated the further you drive.
Right. Yeah, it's genius. You just put a little bit, about 2 pounds.
That's
right?
it. Yeah, just
2 pounds.
Just a little bit. Get you back to the shop. Then you can let it all back out.
I have aired my tire up with nitrogen. I'm on the side of the road in the work van, like, God, I gotta have. Oh, I got nitrogen. I know what I got.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dump it in there, and here we go.
Yep. Yeah, we did have one installer who put just a little bit too much 22 in there when he was driving back. It will explode the tire. That tire will pop.
Yep.
Now speaking of, since we're on the refrigerant topic, I know this is becoming a hotter and hotter topic. What are your thoughts, Donnie, about the potential elimination of single-use canisters and having to go to trade out refillables everywhere?
You know, I don't
They're pushing hard on it.
I don't have a dog in the fight necessarily, because it's not part of that, but it's going to be hard to manage. Back when we switched,
No joke.
So when we switched from 22 to 410, right? They were like, hey, you have to have this log. Here's your book. It's 140 pages, and every time you add refrigerant to a system, you have to log how much refrigerant you have to, and you have to keep that available for the auditors who are going to come by and audit your refrigerant use. And we sold them as the distributor. We sold these books. We sold everything, right? And I'm like,
yep.
There's not enough government employees to audit every HVAC. I mean,
no.
All they would be doing. So, how we manage that transition.
Well, the infrastructure is not.
There's no infrastructure for it. I mean, what is every single distributor suddenly going to have to go dig out 2 holes in the front of their warehouse and bury, I guess, essentially fuel cells to pump refrigerant out of, kind of like a gas station, literally.
Like your LP
a whole
stations
different business here.
I think it's a nice, in politics or in government, everything sounds great on paper, right?
Right.
Yep.
Try to implement it. That's the key, right?
Yeah.
Well, what's in that tank? Yeah, I just recovered all this 410s-ish. Or 407C and R22
that's
together.
Why we all got out of recovery canisters
tanks.
Because nobody ever put actual 22 in them. It was 22 and what the hell ever else was in the system.
Oh, my God. The amount
it's like that all over again.
Yeah, the amount of recovery tanks that I've handled in my career, unbelievable. And you're like, so this is what do we have in here? They're like, it's 22.
You sure?
And I'm like, and then they would pause. I'm like, nope. Okay. By the way, you write it down. The only person that knows truly what's in it is the facility that pumps it out and has to filter it or do whatever they have to do with it.
Oh yeah, they're probably like,
when we switched to 410 to 22, so 22 I will tell you this. So we used to sell a 30-pound drum of R22 for $26. Ask me how I know that. It's just that I remember that price.
Wow.
$26 for a 30-pound drum of 22.
So you got a storage unit full, right?
Exactly, right. And when we switched to 410, they were like, well, people are just going to recycle. They're going to suck the 22 out of this and go put it in the other side. And I'm like, okay, that sounds like a legitimate business. Nobody wasted their time to do that.
No.
I mean, there were people who tried it, but it did not become a, what do they call it on Shark Tank? That was not a long-term success plan.
Well, and it goes back to the whole, you're killing my service department here.
For sure. Yeah. My service department is now a profit loss center.
I think when I went into wholesale in 2010, 410 was, I think I would sell pallet prices like $57 a jug, something like that, maybe.
Right. Yeah. Sounds about right. The 25, so 410 was in 25-pound jugs, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's just $2 a pound. Or $20 a pound, whatever it is now. I don't even know what it is now. I'm out of it so much, I don't even know what
stupid is what it is now.
Yeah.
I had to quote a pallet yesterday, and it's...
I mean, are we talking it's like 460 or something? Is it?
In some cases, it depends. It depends. It went way up, and now it's creeping back down again. But then, what kills me is refrigerant will end up being a semi loss leader here and there too.
Right.
But guys will just like all of a sudden, it's 500 a jug, and then you'll see some guy out of nowhere like, yeah, I'm selling a pallet for $3.25 a jug. I'm like, I can't even. No one can even buy it for that. Where are you? I was like, well, you've been sitting on this since you bought it at $2.50.
Right, you've been sitting on this since 2018. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I'll see that all the time, just out of left field. I had that happen yesterday. I had 3 different costs within $5 of each other from 3 different manufacturers.
Yeah.
So, and then, I quote this guy. And he comes back. He's like, well, this other guy said he'll do it for this. And I said, man, go buy it.
Right.
See if he'll sell me a couple of pallets too. I could use it at that cost. It'd be nice.
Right.
I mean,
So again, back in the day, you'd say, "Here's your pallet price." Oh, by the way, it's good for 48 hours.
yeah, right.
Same
Now
thing with
it's like
copper.
it's good for 20 minutes.
Yeah, copper was the same way. It's like, here's your copper price. It's good for about 20 minutes. So
20 minutes.
I mean, literally, copper was crazy at some point in time in the early 2010s. Like the big manufacturers, the Muellers and those JMFs, those guys, they would send out a daily price sheet.
Yep.
Like,
Straight
here's your price
commodity
today.
sheets. Yeah.
We looked at the futures in the stock market, and this is what we're doing. So,
Yep.
I mean, as a distributor, it's hard to do business that way. So, at a mass side. So,
Well, I got to go to the gym in like 4 hours. So,
dude, you're a beast, man.
it's been fun.
I've enjoyed.
I should have drank that Nitro Pepsi.
You should have. You might have had a little more energy. You're a little down today, Dennis. I'm disappointed in you.
I just wrote it out. Well, I should have got my bourbon out. I didn't know you were bringing bourbon.
So here's the thing you know about me. Always come with the bourbon.
All right.
So you should do it. You should do a podcast down in Kentucky and do a bourbon tour podcast.
Well, now speaking of Kentucky bourbon, you make sure you listen to next week's show. That's
Okay.
all I'll say. Just make sure you listen to next week's show.
Excellent.
Yep. Well, we got it. He's in now.
I know. Hook, line, and sinker.
Oh yeah, I'm a lifer.
Yeah, and he's
Now, are
definitely.
you going to
I'm
play?
old, so that's not that. By the way, I'm old, so it's not that doesn't mean a whole lot. But I'm a lifer.
So you got to play this back on Friday and make your kids listen to this whole thing.
Well, I think they're in the other room listening right now.
They're probably like, I mean, what is he doing in
Like,
there?
Dad's had one too many.
He's crushed a whole bottle of. Is he working? What is he doing in there?
Oh, by the way, this is what Dad. So the funny joke was, my kid got asked in school one time, "What does your dad do for a living?" And she paused and she said, "He talks on the phone a lot. That's what he does."
Yeah.
Heating and air.
Yes, she had no clue what I did, but she did know I talked on the phone.
I got my daughter saying heating and air.
Heat in there.
Excellent.
Yep.
Mostly the heat comes out of his mouth and goes into the air.
Oh, wow.
Well, guys, I'm looking forward to meeting you guys down in Atlanta.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate the time and the opportunity. Really do. I know the marketing team kind of helped set this up, but this has been fun.
Kathy and Delucia have been awesome to deal with.
Yeah, they
You did good, man.
I can't say enough nice words about them and everything. So,
but if you ever, if you ever like, oh crap, we don't have a guest, and it's like a Wednesday afternoon, just text me and I will help you fill some time.
Nice.
You did good. It wasn't a Flex Seal ad. You did a great job.
No, this is. But wait, there's more.
Wait, hold on.
Yep.
He's like, hold on, I didn't get to talk about my K-Flex foam tape yet. We can hook a boat back together with that. Lickety split.
If you order now, we'll throw in 2 sets of Ginsu knives.
Sweet.
I could tell you were worried about it. You're like, man, I want to talk about this product, but
I've got a whole. I'm sure I'm gonna. Here's the thing: Saturday morning, somebody's gonna call me and say, "You forgot to mention," and they'll fill in the blank, and I'm like, "Yeah,
okay. You forgot to mention 45 of our.
I've got 10,000 SKUs. What do you want me to talk about?"
And then you know what they say? Well, man, the next time Dennis and Ryan don't have a guest, I will talk about it.
I'm in.
Right.
Yeah. I halfway joke, but yeah, if you ever need, because I hate it when you, not that I hate it, but I hate it for you guys when you're like, and we don't have a guest today.
Well, we do.
Some nights, sometimes it's nice because he and I don't get to catch up near as much as we used to. So sometimes it's, we get to enjoy just catching up a little bit too.
Yeah, and I will work on my Canadian accent if you need a Canadian guy to fill in too, because I know you got a large Canadian following.
We do. We love our Canadian friends.
Yeah.
My boss said, "Well, it's because you start the show with beer. That's why you got all those guys listening to you."
So we'll have when you come by the booth, there's a couple of Canadians there. So
Nice. Okay.
So we have a very good presence in Canada as well. So we love our neighbors for the north.
That's right.
So, yeah.
What do you say, Rhydon? Our what's the A?
The A team.
A team.
The A team.
That's it.
Thanks, In for Air.
So so it's funny you say that, because our Canadian group, there's 3 guys that run the Canadian group. All their names start with A's. I call them the AAA. You know, when you're in an emergency, call AAA.
I like it.
Right.
So
speaking of AAA, rabbit hole here.
Are they a sponsor now?
No, but I was talking to one of my customers the other day. I was driving down 485 and I looked over and I swear he had just drove past me. So I called him, got onto the driver's side of his car and was waiting for him to see if he picked his phone up, and he did. I was like, sweet. So I pulled up and he and I were talking, driving down 485 side by side for a little bit till he had to peel off to go to a call. And as soon as he and I got off the phone, he's like, man, you'll never guess what I'm behind. And he sends me a picture, and it's a F-250 AAA electric vehicle recovery unit with a giant generator in the back of it.
Oh, here we go.
By the way, there's a new business model: electric vehicle recovery unit.
Yep.
Wow.
It's a F-350 powered by diesel engine.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep, and that's what this thing was. It was a nice F-250 Super Duty.
Just huffing black smoke out the back.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Pouring the coal to it.
So yeah, if you guys haven't registered for AHR, please visit ahrexpo.com. Get your registration in. I think we're getting close to the deadline of being able to have your passes mailed to you in time. So get in there, get it done. It may already be passed, or it may be next week. Sorry, Nicole, I can't remember everything we talked about last week at this point.
Right.
But yeah, make sure you're registered. Also, go and check out Donnie and everybody at RectorSeal is booth B2029. Our buddy HVAC Strong will be there at 3 o'clock on Monday. We will be there at 11 o'clock on Tuesday. And then our other friend from California, Mr. PE HVAC, will be there on Tuesday at 3 o'clock. So go check out all of our buddies over at RectorSeal as well.
Yeah.
I will not be in a kilt. Just throwing that out there.
You will probably be at the beer pavilion, Dennis, is where I will find you.
God,
we will be hanging out over there.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think Jess is coming to y'all's booth. I'm trying to remember everybody else. I think Jess and Gary are both going to be there. Speaking of the A team.
Yep.
We've got a few people coming by. Who'd you say, Jess?
HVAC Jess.
Yep, that's Tuesday at 2 to 3.
There you go. And then Gary McCready, HVAC Know-It-All.
Yep.
I know he's coming.
Yeah. So HVAC Know-It-All. That guy's funny. I've watched a few of his podcasts. He's pretty funny.
Yeah, he covers the. If I want to get technical,
correct.
Like my mind is wanting to go down that road. That's who I'm turning on.
Right.
That's just what it is.
Yeah, have a pencil.
Him or Brian Orr.
Yeah, have a pencil ready when you listen to Brian or
yep.
Because they will learn you some things, as they say.
That's right.
That's right. All right. Well, cool, man. Appreciate you coming on. Had a good time. Hope you got some bourbon left over for next Wednesday or a Wednesday.
Yep.
Always got some bourbon ready.
All right.
Next time I'll have to bust out my new corksicle, which I still haven't used yet. Dang it.
I can't wait to hear it. So make sure you at least listen to the opening of the Nitro Pepsi.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not, yeah.
Unsolicited plug right there for the Nitro Pepsi.
Yep.
That's right. Ryan did a good job. I'll have to put that in there. All right, man. We'll see you in Atlanta or talk to you soon on here.
Hey, sounds
absolutely.
good. All right, guys.
All right, man. Take it
Thanks,
easy.
guys.
Connecting little towns with fun and games. Who'd want to live down there in the middle of nowhere? They've never drove through Indiana planted that seed, busted his ass for you and me. You're gonna